Alrighty, okay. Thanks for tuning in today, guys. I'm joined today by Kris Greene, all the way from sunny Dubai. So, welcome, Chris. Good to have you on the show.
Thanks very much, bud. Happy to be here.
So, for those who don't know you, Chris, can you give us a bit of an introduction into how you got interested in coaching, what and where you studied, your kind of background, experience, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it probably started back when I was playing rugby and stuff like that, and I had access to the likes of a sports scientist or an S&C coach, because it was very, very popular back then in the rugby, in my early rugby days. So I also kind of enjoyed, I always enjoyed the aspect of gym training and kind of in the gym and getting strong and that kind of stuff. So I suppose it was just a natural progression that I went down that route, whether it would be playing rugby or helping guys out in the gym and performance wise. So yeah, I was lucky that I stumbled across a degree in St. Mary's called Strength and Conditioning Science, and then there you go. It was a history from there. So.
Mhm. So, tell us a bit about the kind of ages and the athletes you're coaching at the moment, and yeah, kind of how you've ended up in Dubai.
Well, as I was saying just off air there, I got a little bit bored of being wet and cold and living in London, so I said, why not try it out in Dubai? And I didn't really know what the market was out here. So I was lucky. I found a company that was trying to kind of announce themselves as a strength and conditioning facility. I found them in the very early ages, and then I decided to just take a chance and come out. So since then, the awareness, I suppose, of S&C is developed a little bit more, and then from that I've kind of found a little bit of a niche in the underage and youth development type of stuff within schools, and young academies. So I mean, there's lots and lots of kids out in this area. So yeah, I mean, it's just it makes sense to go down that route really, and then I've been enjoying it for the last couple of years here. So yeah.
Awesome. So tell us a bit about your new business, physical training company. Who does it involve? What does the business entail, and what's the long-term aim for it?
At the moment, it's actually a couple of guys from St. Mary's. Like a few of them followed me out, and again we were with a previous company, but then we decided about 5 months ago to set up and do it ourselves. So we've been going just over 5 months now. The idea of the company is that it's a very bland and basic name, but it doesn't kind of pigeonhole us in any respect. So with the physical training company, are planning on it being some sort of a mothership. At the moment, we've just kind of got 3 training services. But from there, we're looking to spread our wings out into the education side of things, and also what was the other? Sorry, and sorry, the equipment side as well. So yeah, we've got some potential that we're looking forward to in that. So hopefully in a few years' time, we'll have a nice little mothership to come back to every time in a brand, and then just focus on our training systems within the training aspect. Education wise, again, a few links that we want to kind of develop in the near future, and then equipment is a bit further on down the line, but again, it's another option. So
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
that's the rough guide. Whether it goes that way or not, we'll see.
Yeah. Well, it seems like you're a bit of a risk taker, aren't you? So I remember when it first came out, obviously the guys at St Mary's, Chris was off to Dubai. Everyone was kind of like, okay, no one really saw that coming. And then
Yeah.
obviously when myself and Adam Spence were talking about the possibility of heading out there, there wasn't a lot of security in it, but you obviously jumped straight into it and have been pretty successful with it. So kind of a bit of a characteristic of yours, you think?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose so. Like, yeah, it comes a point in time, you just have to go for it. I obviously would have liked to stay in the UK or whatnot, but again, it wasn't as consistent that I would have liked it to be because it is such a saturated market.
Mhm.
So I said, yeah, why not? Nothing much to lose. Nobody's going to die.
Mhm.
So yeah, booked my flights and went. So, but yeah, I mean, since I've been here, it's certainly been challenging. Again, it is another saturated market, and it's a little bit less educated within the region. But it's getting there, and that's again the hope of the new company, is to kind of raise the standards and bring some certifications out so that people are getting that education, and the quality and the standards are there, you know. So yeah, it's an exciting market. It is certainly there for the taking. So we'll see what happens in the near future.
So can you tell us a bit about the different projects you've got on? So I know you're working with Dubai College, and you've got something called the GEM Sports Academy, UAE7. So tell us a little bit about the little kind of pies you got your fingers in.
Yeah, I mean, Dubai College, I suppose, is a new one we just started this year. A friend of mine actually was working there last year, and he had to go home for various reasons, so he recommended me. But it's quite a prestigious school, and it's been kind of the front runner in terms of sports here for the last couple of years, or for however long, in fact. Um, so they've got a number of different teams that I look after, whether it be rugby, netball, swimming, cricket, like whatever it may be. We'll stick to the teams and then get the guys in and train in that respect. Really, really enjoyable, really good bunch of kids. Everyone's super respectful and that kind of stuff, you know. So yeah, really, really nice guys. GEMS, the Sports Academy, it's actually a mixture of people. So from ages, I think they're about 14 to about 19, they come in and they all train together, but they're all separate sports, so they're following curriculum, a sporting curriculum, and then S&C is just kind of part of their curriculum, which is actually, it's really nice because it allows the freedom and stuff like that. So they're not kind of set to strict sports or strict programs or anything like that. You know, it's all kind of there for them, nice and basic stuff, you know. And then in terms of the UAE sevens, I was just lucky that I kind of in the rugby scene here, and they're trying to pick that up quite a bit. So yeah, I was lucky to get my foot in that door. I worked a couple of tournaments with them, and then hopefully be with them again now when after their break, so we'll get back in again. So yeah, that's just the senior sevens set up. There's a 15th tournament coming up, so we'll see if we can get involved in that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And then the rest would just be private clients and stuff like that. You know, so.
You got a lot of things cooking.
Yeah, it's almost too much at times, but yeah, it's good. It's good. You know.
So what's your philosophy? So you obviously got a lot of guys sort of 19, and you mentioned down to the kind of 14 age. What's your philosophy when you're coaching these kind of kids? Does it depend on the context? Does it depend on the kids in front of you? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's no cookie cutter answer for it, really, is there? I mean, you get them in, you'll do some sort of testing with them, see where they're based. I mean, a lot of stuff I do, I just look at them and I can tell whether they're a decent standard or not. I try not to be too specific at all, especially with the younger kids. If you like, you know, you got to compare their biological age and their chronological age, and kind of see where they're at, their capabilities. It's a huge kind of jigsaw to kind of put together. But as long as you're not doing anything too crazy, keeping it nice and simple, and then I mean focusing on movement patterns and keeping it fun is my main priority at the moment. It's such a sensitive subject, kind of bringing kids in and telling their parents you have to do resistance training and stuff like that. If you can find other ways to do it, I think it's a great option.
So you kind of pick your battles a little bit.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I love to load kids up, to be honest. But yeah, like you said, pick your battles. You'll do a couple of technique sessions with a few weights, and then mix that up with some games and stuff like that. So they're getting a good mix of everything. Again, we'll always test them, whether that be bodyweight testing or some sort of resistance training testing, and then we'll always see progressions, and it's nice. I mean, once you show improvements, I mean, the parents and the teachers and the kids themselves, they kind of buy into it that little bit more, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's funny, I have a set of netball kids, and they absolutely hate me.
I think I saw your post on Facebook actually.
I just have to accept it and like move on. But no, they're good kids, but they like to take the piss quite a bit.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. I think I got a similar issue with at the basketball club. I've got a set of kids. I think that when they show up, they're not happy about it. But
Yeah,
It's funny, isn't it? I think it's a real mental maturity thing because I've got a definite split between sort of 13, 14, and then 16, 17. Those guys lap up anything I throw at them.
yeah, exactly.
And I'll have 20 of them doing stuff in unison, but you can't get 3 kids at 14 to do the same thing. So it's a real
Yeah,
mental maturity thing, isn't it?
I think it's when the social pressure comes on to not be skinny anymore, then the boys buy into it big time, and they're like, oh, creatine this and yeah, whatever. So yeah, I think yeah, once they turn that certain corner, then there's massive buy-in.
Mm.
But I suppose it comes down to how you deliver it as well. I mean, I have a bunch of cricket kids who literally could not move like when we first started, and then between myself and the cricket coach, we just kind of took it upon ourselves to make things as fun as possible. We'll always throw some games in, and even by I think doing circuits or putting them under a time constraint, they buy into it much more
Mhm.
rather than going, okay, go over there with your individual program and do 10 reps of this and follow the scheme. Like they're not going to do that, and they're not going to, they're not going to buy into it. Whereas if you get them all together as a group and then pump the music loud so they can't kind of get distracted and just yeah, I mean, there's ways around getting that buy-in off them, I suppose.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, we had a
yeah,
similar issue. Well, I think when I was at the Leaf Academy in Bournemouth, we had just a massive group of kids, and I think I remember when I came in, kind of being fresh, almost fresh out of uni, and thinking, right, I didn't do individualized programs, but I did some programs. Here's a program, and I think at the end of the session, I must have picked about 30 of them off the floor,
yeah,
and there
yeah,
wasn't a pen marker on it, and straight away I was like, right, you have to rethink that one. This isn't going to
yeah.
work.
So it's all well and good, like trying to trying to make things perfect, but yeah, like you said, is you'll be picking up programs for weeks. So I actually have the same issue. I have a big cupboard full of empty programs. I'm like, oh, right, how am I going to work around this? So, but yeah, I mean, it's just the rugby boys. I actually just get them wrestling quite a lot.
Which I love,
um,
right?
yeah, I mean, so again, there is that buy-in from a few of them who a bit more mature, bit kind of they want to get that mass on and they want to get strong. And then there's the other boys, the younger lads particularly. They're forced to come in at 6:30 in the morning. They don't want to be there, So it's all right. Let's kind of make this as fun as possible, So
I think there's also that kind of intrinsic thing in rugby. The guys see it and go, okay, this is a collision sport. I probably want to be the guy who's the bigger guy running into that tackle. Whereas sports like basketball, swimming, cricket, it's not part of the culture. It's not part of the sport traditionally, and so they almost they don't want to get involved in it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, the same as yeah, the cricket. Again, it's they used to hate coming in, hate it, But then once you kind of keep turning the cogs, and they'll get there eventually, I think. But yeah, it's not an easy battle at all. I have to say, yeah. Even in the swimming, like, what do you do? Like, if he's a sprint swimmer, like, yeah, okay, let's get him off the blocks that little bit quicker. Well, he's a long distance swimmer. You need a bit of core work, breathing techniques. Like you can't do a hell of a lot for them, So it's where do you get that buy-in from them?
Yeah, I guess a lot of it's just trying to make them robust, isn't
Of
it?
course,
Kind of what you can offer them. Yeah.
that's it.
So your philosophy kind of goes more around like kind of fundamental movements and getting kids generally good at an array of movements.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to kids, like, I mean, you really don't want to specify, in my opinion, anyway. I mean, just get them as broad as possible. Like, get their movements skills kind of down to a T. Get them challenging all different sorts of ranges and planes and that kind of stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. Some of it's hard to quantify, um, but again, if you can literally see them getting from zero to halfway, like you're making a difference, So
I think the thing is as
and then
well.
once you get that buy-in, then you can start to kind of progress things on and then add in the resistance and that kind of stuff, So
It's such a that age is kind of fertile ground, isn't it? It's like you've got
yeah,
all the combination of factors. You kind of get your neural maturation, your testosterone levels happening. You're getting,
yeah,
you basically it's just a fire waiting to be lit, isn't it? You don't have to do a massive amount.
yeah. It's really they are very malleable at that stage. It's kind of all right. You might not buy into this now, but kind of if you do this work now, it'll stand to you so much more in the future. Like we can we can play around with this, and yeah, exactly like you said, the hormonal levels and like it's a great time to be kind of the earlier the better in my mind, you know. But
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
So, in terms of your kind of coaching career and your thought process, where would you kind of highlight, or who would you highlight as kind of being your biggest influence as a coach?
Suppose I learned a lot. I did an internship at London Irish for 2 years, and I learned a lot from those guys. Alan Ryan, I mean, his organisation was very good, and how he managed the players, I think was. I mean, everyone can write a program. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of how you deliver it, and kind of how the relationships you strike up with your athletes or with your players or clients even for that matter. Um, so I mean that was a very clear point for me. I mean I'd see guys who knew way more than I did in terms of knowledge and stuff like that, but could not apply it. You know, so um, yeah, I think down at Irish it was a nice environment to learn in because you're kind of thrown in at the deep end. So you got 30 plus rugby players, all way bigger than you are, and you're kind of like, oh right, okay, better step up here. Yeah, Robbie Palmer was down there. I mean, he's a international powerlifter. I think he's bench press world champion, is he? I'm not too sure.
Probably.
Something along those lines. A freak anyway. So he was a good man to learn from. He knows how to get people strong. Andre Quinn again, organisation and kind of getting the best out of the younger lads. You know, he'd almost act like a father figure. So them boys are good to learn from. Um, I think Brett Bartholomew is at the top of his game at the moment. Of Exos, well, previously he was at Exos. I like a lot of the stuff he talks about in terms of kind of social behavior and the mind and just like social science and all that psychology and everything. He's mad into it, which I think is hugely important. And he talks a lot about kind of building relationships and getting the best out of your guys that way. Again, anyone can write a program. It's how you deliver, I suppose, is the important thing, and the connection that you have with these kids or these people, you know, that you're working with. So, yeah, I mean that in terms of influences, I mean, I think Brett's certainly one to follow, because he's so passionate as well. Like, you know, he just loves to coach. It's very evident, you know. So.
I actually watched it's funny you mentioned Brett Bartholomew because that was one of the guys I was thinking of, but I watched a webinar last weekend that he gave that was free through another organisation, and it was all about getting buy-in, and it was really useful actually.
Yeah, I haven't seen that, but yeah, I want to watch it. I heard it's really good.
Yeah, no, it was pretty good. It's one of those things where you think I should have been taking more notes or trying to take things away, but it was exactly that. Like he was saying, is that it doesn't matter if you've got the world's best program if people aren't doing it. You know.
Exactly.
In fact, 9 times out of 10, it's true, isn't it? You see someone getting really good results off a program that's not great.
Yeah.
And it's because they're consistent with it and they're doing everything that's asked of them, and that's the situation you want, isn't it? People who are consistent applying what they got.
Exactly. I mean, it's very rare you're going to get a self-motivated person to that extent. Do you know what I mean? Unless they have something that they really want, like, or they're in a strict academy setup or whatever. I mean, it's rare you'll come across somebody with that dedication. So yeah, it's a nice topic.
So
you talked about that all day already.
Yeah, I know. That's one of the things that you end up an hour later still realising you're still going. So in terms of your career or maybe your coaching career, what do you think's been your greatest success, like as a S&C coach or as a coach in general?
Yeah, it's good that I haven't killed anybody yet, or really hurt anybody. Fingers crossed, touch wood. But
that is a good point. I had a friend of mine who I think it was his first session somewhere, and was doing landing mechanics, and someone blew their knee. So that's not a great start. I'm not naming any names, but he's come back from that. But yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you just want to break them in super easy, don't you? You never know what you're dealing with. But I mean, look, I think it's just nice to be able to do this anywhere you want. I could go back to the UK, go back to Ireland, Australia, wherever. I could probably find a job in India if I wanted to. Sure, wasn't Cormac Whelan down in India for a while?
Yeah.
You know, so it's I think the fitness industry is obviously exploding at the moment, whether it be S&C, physical preparation or just being a fitness professional. You know, I think it's the standards are definitely being raised. People are starting to spread out of SSC because it's so saturated, and it's kind of filtering into the main market. So yeah, I mean, to be able to do that everywhere, I certainly think it's that's probably a successful thing, just in terms of career selection.
Yeah. To be fair, I mean, the fact that you were making it work in the Middle East, where you said, there's a lot of competition, that's. I mean, there's a lot of guys, that came off our course that aren't even in the world of strength and conditioning. So,
Yeah,
and that itself is testament that you're doing something right.
I suppose when you get thrown in the deep end, you have to make it work.
Yeah, sink or swim, isn't it?
Yeah, so.
So on the flip side, what do you think's been the thing that's your biggest learning curve or your biggest failure, or where would you kind of highlight that was a catalyst?
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's probably too early to tell how much I've ruined or something terrible that I've done. I thought there's probably loads of mistakes that I have to make. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Probably one thing, a big regret I have when I was in London. I was working with London GAA, and I was in direct contact with David Joyce, who's actually kind of one of the top dogs in SC, and I had no idea who he was. I spent a full year talking to him, and I had no idea who the guy was. So
How did that
that's
happen?
oh, just me being too young and too naive, and kind of. He obviously taught me a hell of a lot.
Mhm.
But I was like, who is this guy? I don't know.
How
Just
did you
some
end up
ran-
speaking to him?
What?
How did you end up in contact with him?
Oh well, it's funny enough that the main coach of GAA, London GAA, he knew him. I don't know how he knew him. Probably through a friend of a friend, but basically, he wanted him to do the job, which is understandable because of who he is. And but he obviously wouldn't do it because he had bigger and better things to be doing. So he said he'd act as a kind of a consultant to me, and lo and
Jeez.
behold, poor Kris didn't jump on that opportunity to learn as much as he could from him. But yeah, that was my first year out of uni, so it's probably
Mm.
you think you know way too much, but you actually haven't a clue. So
Yeah, it is. It's
that's my
retrospect, isn't
biggest
it?
mistake so far. So,
But it sounds like
I'll,
you've been pretty lucky to learn under some pretty high level guys.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. Things tend to fall into place sometimes, so I'm thankful for that. So yeah, it's good. I might have to reach out to him again and say, please teach me some more.
See if he remembers who you are.
Yeah, hopefully. I bought a copy of his book just to kind of make up for it. So we'll see.
Yeah, just put the royalties in. So what at the moment? What are the challenges facing you? So when you're coaching youth athletes, is it logistical? Is it relational? What's the challenges that you're facing on a daily basis?
I mean, I get on with all the kids. I mean, that's never really an issue. Um, I just end up kind of being one of them. So it's a nice touch. But I mean, the workload. I mean, I must see over 200 kids a week, give or take. So it's far too much. Do you know what I mean? To be, and I'd probably say that the standard probably falls back a little bit because of that. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that's probably one challenge that I have to get on top of is the amount of and the workload that we're going through. But hopefully with the the physical training company, we'll get a few new people on board, and then we'll be able to serve these contracts a little bit better. But I mean, for now, it's a means to an end, and we'll get some more people on board, and then hopefully, you know. But that's certainly, I mean, productivity, and I mean, it's just you're working 16, 18-hour days, so it's dragging yourself around at times, So, but yeah, we'll certainly come up with a plan to fix that soon.
So tell us. I mean, you kind of mentioned a bit about you know your time in Dubai in terms of the S&C industry. Where do you see it kind of moving in the future? What do you think in terms of? I mean, obviously you've got places like Aspire and
Yeah.
all those kind of good things happening in the Middle East. I mean, obviously Alex Natira, one of our lecturers, is out in the Middle East. I don't know if you know John Goodwin's just gone as well. So
Yeah.
there's some big guys who are heading out there. So where do you see S1E2 in the Middle East going?
Is Alex still there? Is he? I'm not sure.
I think so. I'm not sure.
I've been meaning to go over actually and check out Aspire, but I've never been to Qatar yet. But in terms of the direction, I mean, I think CrossFit's done a really good job of making fitness popular. I think if we can ride that wave and kind of spread the word and kind of spread the knowledge, I suppose, then it'll improve in ways that hopefully we can all benefit from. Our main goal is to raise the standards, but to do that we need to get, I don't know, like systems in place where like reps will have to certify everybody, and it's a little bit like the Wild Wild West out here, and that people can just come and do whatever they want and charge whatever they want, and there is no kind of there is nobody to answer to, So once we get that up and running, which eventually we'll get there, things run a little bit slower out here than they do elsewhere. But yeah, I mean, I think S&C in the long term would be a popular thing, especially amongst the youth population, because people just need to be educated on that. And so at the moment we're putting a talent ID scheme together, and hopefully developing some sort of athletes academy off the back of that. So in time we'll get there and we'll raise the standards.
Cool.
So yeah,
that's good. So what's I mean, we mentioned it a little bit, but what's next for Kris Greene? What do you see happening in the next sort of 4 or 5 years? Do you want to eventually head back over to the weather colder side of the world, or you think you're situated pretty well?
I don't think I can leave this weather, to be honest with you. I spent far too long in the dark and damp of Ireland. But
you've probably got the most nourishment there is right now.
Well, it's nice weather now, so yeah, I reckon so. It might be a bit sunburn as well, but say no. Yeah, look, I think we've literally just started this company. It's going to take a long time to get it up and running and running smoothly, that we can kind of eventually step back from it and kind of focus on other things and develop it even further. So give it a 5-year project, I reckon. Hopefully things have picked up. I can't believe how fast paced the city is. Even in the 3 years I've been here, it's changed significantly. So yeah, I mean, I think we'll develop the physical training company and hopefully build a scalable model that we can take elsewhere. So maybe Singapore is a good option, or even anywhere within the GCC region. So maybe Saudi, we might look into that after a while, but I don't know if anybody would want to live there. Yeah, so we'll see.
Sure. So what advice would you give to coaches working with kids at the moment? Off the back of some of your experiences, what can people glean from your kind of knowledge and your experience? What advice would you give?
I mean, I think the kids need to enjoy themselves. If they come out of every session being shouted at and kind of be under strict restrictions, then I think they're going to fall in love with fitness and keeping fit. So while they're at the age where it is okay to keep it fun and to keep it general, then I think why not? There's a great video actually. It's doing the rounds at the moment, where I think they're in a tennis academy and they're playing X's and O's with a couple of rings. So I think I'll be taking that. And I mean, there's a few other things, like there's great videos of kids playing with balloons and on like Bosu balls. Like, yeah, okay, everyone preaches not to train on a Bosu ball, but when you're a kid playing with a balloon bouncing around, you're doing something right. So yeah, just keeping it fun. Don't load them up too soon, and if you do, then keep it foolproof. Goblet squats, sumo deadlifts, whatever. It's push-ups, inverted rows. Really, really simple. So if you have to load them up, then I think that's the main take-home points of that. Avoiding specificity, keep it general, and probably just get creative. Have fun.
Cool. So last kind of questions: are there any books or resources you'd recommend So you mentioned a few people already, but is there anything that what's your kind of reading content at the moment that you think would be good to kind of put out there?
I quite like. I mentioned Brett earlier. He recommended a few, so I kind of got into that of kind of learning more about the brain and human behavior science and that kind of stuff and why people do what they do. And the good one I liked is called the EQ Edge, so Emotional Intelligence, by Stephen Stein, and it just yeah, it's a really really good. I actually like to listen to audiobooks, but yeah, really really good and informative way of one, how to deal with your own emotions and your own intelligence, but how to kind of be more empathetic towards people, and kind of, okay, to get buy-in from this client or this person, I need to find an emotional attachment for this guy or this girl to make them like training. Okay, 10 squats, 3 reps. He's complaining, he doesn't like it. Okay, how am I going to get this? What reason does he need to realize that he needs to do this? And then how will he respond to that in terms of emotional kind of reactions, so I think that's a really good book to again, you could write the perfect program, but if they're not buying into it, or if they're not emotionally kind of getting stuck into it, then you have to kind of reconsider things and come at it from a different angle. And then there's another one that's similar kind of vibe, but Contagious, by a guy called Jonah Berger. Again, it's more about building products, but it's really, really interesting for me as why people kind of buy into things and why people keep coming back. And I suppose it's good from a business perspective as well, as kind of building a product that will hook people in. And then it's the same thing. If people are paying you for training, you have to keep them hooked. You have to keep them coming back. So understand that side of things for me is quite a nice one. And I've just started Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. So I'm on the first page, so we'll see how that goes. But it's meant to be, it's meant to be
good, isn't it? Okay, Kris, well, I don't want to keep you any longer because I know you're a busy guy, but thanks very much for your time today. I appreciate it. Good luck with the physical training company. Where can people find out more about you, about Physical Training Company? Where can they get some more info?
We're on Facebook, the Physical Training Company, and we're also on Instagram. Instagram's the big one out here. Or myself, I'm on Facebook and Instagram, Kris Greene SC. So you can find it there. And we're basically posting anything and everything to do with our company to spread the word. So, and we're also at www.thephysicaltrainingcompany.ae.
Brilliant.
So there we go.
Cool. Thanks very much, mate. Enjoy the rest of your evening out there, and we'll have to touch base again soon.
Lovely. Cheers, pal.
Cheers, mate.